is Valerie Dixon, and this is the highlights of my Master's of Educational Leadership at Reading Junior High for the 2016-2017 school year. The 2016-2017 school year, I was notified in July by the PTO, the Parent Teacher Organization President, that I was nominated to be on the PTO board. They've never had a teacher representative on the board in the past 7 years that this campus has been open. So I was nominated and I accepted the nomination. And I started work right away with the PTO president. After I met with her over the summer, we kind of discussed like the overview for the year, what were her goals, what she wanted my role to be as far as communication between the teachers and the administration, and my duties being on the PTO board. Some of the things, the goals that she wanted to discuss with me were the 7th grade field trip, the 8th grade celebration. The career fair is a big event that they have every year that is sponsored by the PTO. Color Run is also another event that is sponsored by the PTO and also fundraises funding for the campus and the student orientation that happens at the very beginning of each year. Because of my hospitality background in event and convention management, they asked me to assist them with several events throughout the year, and the very first event was the student orientation. Some of my leadership activities were focused on the content that I teach. Human Services is a section of the Family Consumer Sciences that I teach, and I also teach Hospitality and Tourism. And this year in the program, I've reached out to several businesses and networked with the community heavily throughout the year. The first event that we had was the Fitness Jam. And the Fitness Jam is pretty much a fun activity that Human Services students, we do a big group fitness class, and it's dance fitness. Former Spurs cheerleader Priscilla Barnes and fitness instructor Misty Hayton were both present at this event. Also, LD Dance Company came and performed a Brazilian routine called the Samba, and it exposed our students to different cultures. The students did a research paper in regards to the various cuisines of the different areas and how those cuisines are healthy. I reached out to both of these groups of community leaders and brought them in as guest speakers. This was also another event that was coordinated. I spoke with the Lifetime Fitness Katy Cinco Ranch location in Katy, Texas, and I spoke with it was the child member services and the group fitness manager at the that particular location, and I was able to receive a significant discount pricing for our students. Normally a trip like this would cost $20 a student. We were able to get it for about 50%, which was $10 a student. Each of the students were able to experience a group cycle class. They were able to do a rock climbing activity. They were also able to utilize the gym facilities such as the basketballs, the tennis courts, the ping pong area, and they were given lunch at the facility. The feedback that I received was very positive from parents. Parents said it was, out of the box. This was another event as far as community, working with vendors as far as and managing events, especially with the budgeting, raising the money for the event, and then paying for it, and also receiving those specialized pricing for the event. This was very successful, and I'm hoping that we can do this again next year. And this was also my very first field trip as a teacher. So it was an experience as far as leading other teachers, leading administration, as far as me being the lead for this field trip. I also brought in a cardio kickboxing instructor, Miss Shannon Nudalak, and she did a basic cardio kickboxing routine. So the human services fitness section really exposed the students to different jobs as far as fitness instructors, nutritionists, and the different areas in human services. By meeting these group fitness instructors, some of these students recognized the brand of Lifetime Fitness. Some of the kids actually did have memberships at the other location in Sugarland. So as far as giving back to the community, students actually, were interested in getting memberships, and trying to live better after this event. Hospitality leadership activities. Our class, the hospitality class, is always asked to do and set up things throughout the year, and we did a fall and spring cheer banquet where students set up. I also had to manage this event as far as funding, again, managing the funds, and staying after school to make sure that the event was executed well for the other teacher that wanted this event. One of the other things that I'm significantly proud of is the sponsorship that we've received from the local restaurants. I also reached out to my alma mater of University of Houston. I am a hotel and restaurant management graduate of the Conrad Hilton College. I was able to receive a tour for my students free of cost, since I'm an alumni of University of Houston and of the Conrad Hilton College. And I was able to arrange a field trip to the University of Houston for my hospitality students. We received a lot of local sponsorships from restaurants, Chick-fil-A, McAllister's, Panera Bread. This is the second time they've actually donated to our campus. I have a very positive relationship with the general manager of Panera Bread. When he saw me, he recognized me right away and gave me the freshest danishes and the mini cookies that the students had. McAllister's Deli, they donated the teas and the lemonades for the students. And Chick-fil-A donated the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches. So with all these donations, it significantly saved on the cost. This trip was pretty much less than $200 for 80 students. So this was another very successful field trip that hopefully we will be able to do again next year, as far as blending with the community, reaching out to the university, again, dealing with that budget and raising the funding for this event. And there's a picture of the student standing in front of the University of Houston. We were able to get the University of Houston to attend our annual campus career fair that also occurred this January. So we did the field trip January 13th, and then our career fair was like a week after. So that really blended in with the career and college readiness unit that my students were already in the middle of learning. Professional development. This was also a first for me. All of the family consumer science teachers throughout the entire Lamar Consolidated District were requested to develop a presentation for all the counselors throughout the district in order to assist with course selection process. a lot of the counselors that most of them have were teachers, and most of them taught in the core content areas and are not aware of the different career and technology sections that they have. It's hospitality, there's human services, there's agriculture, there's STEM, there's business. So there's all these different curriculums out there, and sometimes it's very difficult for the counselors to explain to the students which course or which area that the student would be interested in. So this was to inform our counselors, to explain the differences of the courses, also to help the teachers, because some of the classes they did not understand. Like, for example, Gateway is more of a career portals class. It's an introductory class that's supposed to be for 7th grade, but sometimes we get 8th graders that are in there, and the 8th graders get upset because they've chosen a high school credit course. So it was to let the counselors understand these are the high school credit courses, these are not the high school credit courses. And I was able to collaborate with my colleagues that were at the other junior high campuses. I created the PowerPoint and the trifold poster board display for hospitality and tourism. The other colleague at Briscoe Junior High School, she created the brochure that you see on the PowerPoint. And Lamar Junior High and George Junior High teachers provided the refreshments and the treats. Once we arrived to the campus that we had to meet, we all helped set up the table display and create everything, and each of us got to explain the different areas that we teach. Now, one of the things that is very different about our area that we teach, even though we all teach family consumer science, each campus is known for their, I guess, different program. So even though we all teach the same area, each campus is known for something. So for example, Briscoe Junior High is known for their bistro that they have. It's a restaurant that they have. However, Briscoe Junior High is the only junior high that has a professional industrial kitchen, where at my campus I have a residential kitchen. So that's why she's known for the bistro. My particular campus, I have created, I'm fairly the newest teacher in the family consumer sciences, but I have brought banquets. We've done field trips. I'm the only teacher actually who's doing field trips as far as with the students. And my area is really specialized on events, doing events for both content areas. So again, even though we do all teach family consumer science, each campus is known for different things. Also this year, I was able to attend my very first professional development conference, March 30th through April 1st. I was able to network with a lot of professors. I was able to meet with a professor from Prairie View University. She actually did a very brief sewing actual activity that was actually really inexpensive that I would be able to do with students. She gave me some ideas as far as how to do the same activity without a sewing machine, because at my campus we're lacking sewing machines. We only have one sewing machine for 30 kids. She also offered to come down and be a guest speaker for my campus, so I was able to network with a lot of other professors that specialize in family consumer science. I was also offered to apply for a leadership position for the region for the particular area that I'm in. So I'm thinking of definitely applying for that, and they sounded very hopeful that I would receive the position. I'm also going to be attending the upcoming conference. I believe this is the national conference, and it's going to be in Dallas this year, and it's over the summer, I believe, between June 25th and 28th. So not only am I receiving professional development, I get to network with professors and universities and bring these professionals back to the campus and representing the district and the campus. Last but not least, every year, it's always about building and learning and making improvements. And every year I try to make an improvement by adding or taking away or focusing on something new each year. And one of the areas that I want to add is a fine dining experience field trip with hospitality students. There is kind of a disconnect between the essentials of dining room and how that is utilized in the real world. And a lot of the times the students just don't understand that, when you go to a fine dining restaurant, you need to know where these forks and knives and spoons are placed and know how to use them correctly. These are skills that you will need, for interviewing, events, if you decide to go to a wedding or any kind of special event, later in life. So I'm already speaking with some local fine dine restaurants in the area to try and receive, again, that special pricing, building on those community relationships. I do know because I was in the hospitality industry, I was able to reach out to one of the managers at Perry Steakhouse in Katy about receiving specialized pricing for my students. Another thing that I did actually speak with the campus principal was in regards to new equipment. One of the things that our campus is lacking is the RealityWorks baby system. And this is a computerized baby system that the high school level has. And my particular district is very big on campus alignment. And we are not aligned with the high school as far as those babies, because we don't have they're not working. So I did speak with the campus principal. I had looked up a budget. I've also looked at how much it's going to cost. I've also spoken with the director of career and technology in regards to the pricing and putting that on the wish list for next year. Sewing machines is also an issue with the campus, but right now I want to focus on the babies, because those are just totally broken. I do at least have one sewing machine. So I'm going to leave that sewing machine for not this year, but the year after that. Hospitality equipment. When I first was started working at this campus, I had one functioning reach-in cooler, and then I had one that I thought was working, but it was not. It was actually broken, and it was a freezer, and that was broken. So I'm trying to get that replaced to receive another reach-in cooler, a professional reach-in cooler, so I can have more food storage, so that way I can have more additional labs. Also, blending with more core content areas. My event with the LD Dance Company and Human Services, I initially was trying to blend with social studies, because we were talking about geography and the different areas, but it was not aligning as far as the TEKs, and they were teaching geography at a different time than I was. So unfortunately that collaboration did not work out as well as I would have hoped this year. However, the department head of social studies did say that he was interested in collaborating for next year for the social studies and doing kind of a cultural blend with my subject area. So there's been a lot of things that were successful this year. There were a lot of things as far as community building, relationships, budgets, um, being at events for other content areas, like, for example, choir. I'm assisting with choir with their field trip. So, the elective areas are good as a team. I've also blended with physical education as far as leading their classes for certain areas that are a strength to me. So, as far as blending and collaborating with coworkers, community leaders, receiving sponsorships and funding, these were all leadership roles as far as being a leader for the campus, being on the PTO board, representing the teachers and the administration, being that liaison between the campus and the parents, giving that feedback to the campus administrators so that way they can take those comments and concerns into consideration. It's been a very busy year. So I'm glad that the year is coming to an end, so that way, I can um, rest and, focus on the new conference this year that's coming up, and then I can kind of rejuvenate myself so that way I can bring more, content for next year. So this concludes my highlights of my Master's of Educational Leadership.